Chasing is a vibration born from lack, and anything born from lack carries a signal that eventually pushes what you want farther away. Have you ever noticed this? The harder you long for something, the more it slips through your fingers. The more you wait for a message, the longer the silence feels. The more you want others to notice and understand you, the more invisible you start to feel. This doesn't happen because you're unworthy or unlucky. It happens because the energy you send out, quiet but powerful, whispers, "I'm missing something. I need something. I'm not enough without it." You can smile, act calm, or pretend you're fine. But your energy field never lies. It speaks louder than words, and reality responds to it directly. You don't attract with thoughts, you attract with frequency. And as long as your energy is chasing, grasping, clinging, you're unknowingly pushing away the very thing you desire. This isn't really a story about desire. It's a story about vibration, the theory of consciousness and vibration. Some vibrations can't be heard, but they change the whole atmosphere of a room. A person walks in without saying a word, yet every head turns. Their presence feels different. On the other hand, there are people who, even at their best, carry a heaviness that makes others uncomfortable. That's not about their words or their looks, that's their energy field, and energy never lies. Carl Jung didn't call it vibration in the modern spiritual sense, but he understood that consciousness, both conscious and unconscious, is a living magnetic field. When you emit vibrations born from lack, from craving, control, or fear, you're sending a clear message into the world. I don't have, I'm scared, I'm not enough. And the universe, along with everyone around you, responds not to what you say, but to what you are, the shadow and the wounded ego. In Jungian psychology, every longing that comes from a wounded ego activates what he called the shadow. The shadow isn't only the dark or negative parts of you, it's everything you reject, deny, or refuse to see in yourself. When you chase love because you fear being alone, that chase comes from your shadow, the belief that you can't be whole by yourself. When you chase success because you feel unworthy, your actions stem not from authentic passion, but from a hidden crack inside. Jung called this projection. When the unconscious mind throws the parts of ourselves we can't face out into the world. In his studies on the phenomenology of the self, he wrote, "Projections change the world into a replica of one's own unknown face." That means the world doesn't show us reality. It mirrors our unseen wounds. The energy of lack in real life. Imagine stepping into a new relationship. On the surface, you seem confident and lighthearted, but deep down, you're checking your phone constantly, waiting for their reply, imagining all the reasons they haven't texted back yet. When they don't respond the way you hoped, that's not just impatience, it's a vibration born of lack. Even if you stay silent, that energy radiates outward. They feel it, not through words, but in the tension of your tone, the nervous rhythm in your presence, the awkward pauses between sentences. So they start to withdraw, not because they dislike you, but because they can sense the unspoken demand. Fill me, complete me, reassure me. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Until you uncover the real motivation behind your actions, you'll be led by it, mistaking it for destiny." Attraction and frequency. Many people try to attract what they want. They read law of attraction books, recite affirmations, visualize an ideal future. But what they miss is that it's not what you want that gets attracted. It's what you are. If your core energy comes from fear, from lack, from insecurity, then what you broadcast into the world is, "I don't have it, I'm not enough." And the universe responds by giving you more experiences that confirm that story. Indifferent people, missed chances, relationships that echo your self-doubt. Jung made a clear distinction between the ego and the soul. The ego is the part that wants to control, to possess, to prove. The soul, on the other hand, needs no reason to simply be. When you live from the ego, you constantly feel you must do something, to be chosen, to be kept, to avoid loss. But when you live from the soul, you no longer chase. You simply recognize, I am, and what's meant for me stays. In The Undiscovered Self, Jung wrote that the soul demands truth, not conformity. The soul doesn't want you to please everyone. It wants you to have the courage to live aligned with your inner truth. Vibrations born of lack are ultimately vibrations of fear, of abandonment, of old wounds, of an inner child still waiting for someone to say, you are enough, you are worthy. But no one can give that to you until you first sent that signal to yourself. As Jung said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Returning to the center, you don't need to keep searching. What you're looking for isn't ahead, it's in the frequency you emit every single moment. When you shift that frequency, from pleading to presence, from expectation to calm, from anxiety to trust, you stop chasing. And that's when everything starts finding you. Not because you did it right, but because you finally became the right person. Story 1. Carla. This truth becomes clearer in the story of Carla. Because Jung's insight isn't just theory, it lives in our everyday experiences. Carla was smart, independent, and self-aware. At 34, she went through a painful breakup with the man she thought was her world. She didn't run from the pain. She faced it, reading, journaling, meditating, going to therapy, doing everything a healing person should do. On the outside, she looked like the perfect example of someone who had moved on. But deep down, something strange kept repeating. Every time she started a new connection, no matter how promising, it ended the same way. The person would slowly drift away. The bond would fade, and she couldn't understand why. Until one therapy session changed everything. Her therapist looked at her and said quietly, "Your energy isn't waiting for love, it's begging for confirmation." That sentence shattered her. She realized that despite all her self-work, she hadn't actually let go. She was just trying to prove she was worthy of love. She wasn't healing to be free, she was healing to be chosen again. Inside, her energy still clung to a hidden belief. Someone has to come and show me I'm enough. So even in new relationships, she wasn't truly present. She was unconsciously replaying a script. Maybe this time someone will love me right so I can finally feel whole. She wasn't loving. She was waiting to be rescued, facing the darkness within. Jung once said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Carla's darkness wasn't her ex. It wasn't even her pain. It was the silent belief that she wasn't complete unless she was chosen. That's why all her healing habits still carried the vibration of begging energy. They weren't real self-love. They were disguised control, a subtle deal with herself. I'll love me as long as someone else does too. But energy doesn't obey conditions. It doesn't care about checklists or intentions. It only responds to what's real. And what was real inside Carla was lack. So her life kept reflecting that back. When you demand confirmation, you're really saying, "I don't have enough." And as Jung taught, the universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to you. The privilege of a lifetime, Jung wrote, is to become who you truly are. But if you still need someone else to confirm your worth, you're not being yourself, you're only a shadow looking for an image. Carla's turning point. After that therapy session, Carla didn't change her strategy. She changed her state. She didn't force herself to stop feeling. She started noticing her impulses. Whenever she caught herself waiting anxiously for a text, she asked, "Am I loving this person, or am I waiting for them to prove that I'm enough?" That single question became her turning point. She didn't love less, she just loved differently, from fullness instead of emptiness. And as that inner shift happened, Her vibration changed too. No more silent pleading, no more choose me so I can be me. She had chosen herself. And when you finally choose yourself, the world stops feeling like a test. It becomes a place to live, to share, to shine. No chasing, no proving, just being. Because as Jung wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But once you do, that's when you become a field of fullness. No signal of lack remains, and everything you were ever searching for finally starts to find you. The mechanism of the inner world. When Carla stopped looking for confirmation outside herself, she didn't just change how she loved. She began to see what was really shaping her life. Every experience we go through, our relationships, our disappointments, even our repeating emotional patterns, stems from the psychological energy we emit from deep within. In Jung's analytical psychology, he drew a clear line between desire born from the ego and desire that arises from the self. When the ego wants something out of emptiness, it activates the unhealed parts of us, what Jung called the shadow. And here's the truth: the shadow doesn't disappear because you think positive. The more you suppress it, the more it takes control of the energy you radiate. The more you try to act like someone you're not, the more you become the opposite of yourself. Not because you're fake, but because you're avoiding the true root of your desire: lack, the unseen vibration. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever met someone who seemed cheerful but carried a heaviness you couldn't explain? Or heard someone say, "I'm fine," yet somehow you could feel their sadness anyway? That's energy. Not something mystical, but a real living vibration that comes from the psyche itself. Jung believed that consciousness isn't just made of thoughts or words. It's made of images charged with emotion. These images live in the unconscious, and they broadcast outward like radio signals. In Man and His Symbols, Jung wrote, "The psyche consists essentially of images. It is a self-regulating system that expresses itself in images. So before you ever speak, your vibration speaks for you." If someone's inner world is trembling, no matter how calm their face looks, people can feel it. The ego can lie. Energy cannot. The shadow in disguise. Here's where it gets tricky. Sometimes the ego acts from fear but disguises it with positive labels. "I'm just trying. I'm in love. I'm being proactive." But if the real motive underneath is anxiety, then the positive action is still driven by lack. Jung warned that the acceptance of the shadow is not just psychological, it's moral. Facing your shadow is not about judging yourself. It's about wholeness. Only when you dare to face the vibration that comes from fear, control, or insecurity can you begin what Jung called individuation, the journey of becoming whole again. Individuation isn't about becoming a better version of yourself. It's about coming home to the center, to the version of you that no longer needs to hide any part of who you are. When you still emit vibrations born of lack, you're living from the wounded ego. But when you live from your center, from the self, you stop needing to chase, to persuade, to prove. You simply exist in quiet fullness. And then your signal shifts from "come to me so I can feel complete" to "I am complete." The magnetic field within. Ask yourself, are you living from your center? Or are you silently begging the world to confirm you're enough? That question alone can shift your entire frequency. Because here's a subtle truth Jung understood early on. People don't love you for what you do. They are drawn to the energy field you radiate, often one you don't even realize you're emitting. If that field is charged with unhealed darkness, you'll attract people who trigger your wounds, not to punish you, but to help you see what still needs healing. In Ion, Jung wrote, "The self is not only the center but also the whole circumference which embraces both consciousness and the unconscious." In other words, your true self is both your light and your darkness. So if you keep meeting the same type of person, or if you keep feeling misunderstood no matter how much you try. It's not about bad luck. It's about the frequency you're sending out. Only when you stop trying to fix or hide your inner world and instead integrate it, do you reach what Jung called wholeness of the self. That's the state where you no longer send signals of lack, because your very existence radiates truth. Story 2, Natalia. Now let's look at another story that shows this process more clearly. Natalia was 40, strong, thoughtful, deeply introspective. She had survived a toxic relationship that nearly drained her spirit. After the breakup, she rebuilt herself from the ground up. She practiced meditation, wrote in her journal, saw a therapist, even started a blog about healing. To everyone around her, she looked free, at peace, and Natalia believed that too, until she met someone new. At first, everything seemed different. She felt balanced, open, ready. But just a few days into their conversations, she noticed herself checking her phone again, waiting, wondering, analyzing every message. Each pause sent a ripple of anxiety through her chest. She didn't act desperate. She stayed composed, but her mind wouldn't stop spinning. What does it mean if he doesn't reply? Did I say something wrong? Will this end the same way as before? In therapy, her therapist listened quietly, then said, "Your mind has let go, but your energy hasn't." That single sentence hit her harder than any heartbreak. Natalia had been sincere in her healing, but she realized that everything she'd done, the journaling, meditating, even her blog, was all driven by one silent mission. I will never feel that kind of pain again. She hadn't really healed. She had armored herself with self-love to avoid vulnerability. Her vibration still whispered, "I need someone to make me feel safe. I need something outside me to ensure I won't get hurt again." The compulsion to repeat. Carl Jung once wrote in the Red Book, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Natalia wasn't wrong for thinking she had healed. She just hadn't gone all the way through, because until that energy, fear, anxiety, the need for safety is faced and integrated, it runs your life in secret. You can change partners, environments, even habits, but you'll still attract the same emotional story in different clothes. Jung called this the compulsion to repeat, the unconscious drive to relive unresolved experiences until they are healed. In Psychology and Alchemy, he wrote, "The patient can only get well when he begins to see the contents of the unconscious and assimilate them into the total personality." Healing doesn't happen through words. It happens when you integrate what's been hiding inside you, and your vibration always reveals whether you've done that or not. People don't withdraw from you because you're not lovable. They withdraw because on a deeper level, they sense an energy field that's asking to be filled. A quiet pressure, a hidden plea. Natalia didn't say a word, but her energy said, "Please make me feel certain. Please don't hurt me again." That's the vibration of fear disguised as love, and no matter how much effort you put into connection, love cannot flow freely under that weight, because love cannot breathe where it's asked to prove itself every second. Facing the mirror. If you find yourself thinking, "Why do I keep attracting the same kind of person?" then maybe it's time to stop questioning the world and start listening to yourself. Ask, what am I radiating that I'm too afraid to admit? Because connection cannot grow on the soil of fear. The more you seek safety in others, the more you drift from your center. As Jung said, the world does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. Until you change your frequency, you'll keep starring in the same story, different cast, same script. But the moment you see this clearly, you've already begun to shift, and that alone, without anyone's validation, is enough to change everything. The difference between control and surrender. Picture this. You tell yourself, "I'm done texting" first. You want to let go. But 10 minutes later, you check your phone again. You tell yourself you're calm, but inside your chest is tight, your pulse is racing, your mind is spinning. That isn't peace, that's control disguised as calm. Control is not strength. It's the survival reflex of an unhealed ego. Natalia realized this not through theory, but through her body, through how tense she became whenever uncertainty appeared. And that's when she finally understood the difference between control and surrender. Control, the reflex of fear. We often confuse control with power. We think being in control means we're handling life well. But control is just fear dressed up in logic. It's the ego's way of managing uncertainty, by analyzing, speculating, predicting, pretending to be okay. It's not real peace. It's performance. Jung taught that the ego always tries to control what the soul hasn't yet integrated. So control isn't strength, it's a symptom, a wound wearing a mask. Imagine starting a new relationship. The other person texts less for a day. You immediately feel the urge to do something, send a message, test them, pull away, or pretend not to care. None of those actions are wrong, but what matters is the energy behind them. If they come from the inability to sit in uncertainty, then you're not connecting, you're controlling. Jung wrote, "When an inner situation remains unconscious, it appears outside as fate." If you don't see that you're driven by fear of losing control, life will keep giving you situations that test that fear, until you either break or awaken. Surrender, the strength of stillness. Surrender isn't giving up. It's not waiting passively for miracles. Surrender is the strength of a mind at rest. It's the quiet knowing that what's meant for you will never need to be forced. It's when you no longer check, manipulate, or plan outcomes because you trust that whatever is real will stay and whatever isn't will fall away. A woman named Lena once shared how she learned this. Her new relationship began beautifully. But as time went on, she found herself analyzing every sentence, every emoji, every pause. Her partner eventually told her, "I don't know why, but something feels heavy between us." That was her wake-up call. She realized she wasn't wrong. She was simply operating from control disguised as care. Jung never saw surrender as weakness. He called it the courage to stop waging war against yourself. It's when you no longer need certainty to feel safe. You no longer need another's reaction to feel loved. You no longer need control to protect yourself from loss. Because the truth is, control doesn't keep you safe. It only keeps you from truly living. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is pause, feel the discomfort, and do nothing. Because it's in that stillness that the energy of lack finally loses its grip. If you've ever found yourself clinging, overthinking, or trying to prove your worth, try whispering this simple phrase, "I am letting go." Not as a strategy, but as a declaration of trust. Because when you stop controlling, the vibration of your life begins to flow again, the power of presence. Now, surrender doesn't mean you vanish or stop caring. And not controlling doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. It leads to something far deeper, what Carl Jung called the true center of spiritual life: presence. If control is action born of fear, then presence is being born of trust. It's the quiet alignment of your mind, body, and emotions in this exact moment. No grasping, no defending, no waiting. Presence is an energy that doesn't chase, doesn't plead, and doesn't need to prove anything. It simply is. You can't measure presence by how long you meditate or how still you sit. It's measured by how fully here you are, when your mind isn't racing into the future or hiding in the past. In The Undiscovered Self, Jung wrote, "Freedom stretches only as far as the limits of our consciousness." If you're not truly present, you're still living unconsciously, reacting instead of choosing. Think of someone you've met who brought peace into the room just by being there. They didn't talk too much. They didn't try too hard. Yet somehow you felt safe, grounded and seen. That's the power of presence. It's not charisma, it's coherence. When you are truly present, you don't need to perform. Your energy already speaks. Try this right now. Put down your phone for just a few seconds. Breathe in slowly. Ask yourself, am I really here? Or is my body here while my mind is drifted somewhere else? That simple noticing is presence. Presence doesn't come from effort. It comes from practice, returning again and again to yourself whenever your energy starts running away. Jung described individuation, the process of returning to the self, as peeling back layers of illusion, pain, and old conditioning until nothing is left but pure awareness. In Psychology and Alchemy, he wrote, "The self is a union of opposites par excellence," meaning only when you stop striving to become someone better and start embracing who you already are, can you be truly whole. Story 3. Daniela and the Practice of Stillness. Daniela was caught in the same cycle for years. She'd meet someone new, feel alive and hopeful, and then anxiety would slowly take over. Every silence felt like danger. Every small delay became a sign she wasn't enough. She knew the pattern, but she couldn't stop it. Until one day she decided to try something different. She called it radical stillness. She didn't cut herself off from the world. She just stopped reacting. When her mind told her to text, she waited. When anxiety whispered that something was wrong, she breathed instead of analyzing. Each day, she practiced being in her body, feeling her heartbeat, her breath, the space around her, without forcing herself to feel better. At first, nothing seemed to change. But after a few weeks, she noticed that her mind had stopped spinning. When she didn't get an immediate reply, she didn't panic. When things didn't go her way, she didn't spiral. She had stopped needing constant reassurance. And from that stillness, everything around her started to shift. Her connections became lighter. Conversations flowed more easily. There was no tension, no guessing, no struggle. Why? Because she was no longer living from the frequency of lack. She had found the magnetic field of presence. How to cultivate presence. You might be wondering, how do I find that same stillness? The answer isn't in doing more, it's in doing less. Stop trying to become something. Start realizing that you already are. Jung never taught self-improvement like a checklist. He invited us to live as the self that already exists. He wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And becoming who you are doesn't require a chase. It requires a pause. Presence isn't a finish line, it's a return. So take a moment right here, right now. Breathe. Feel your chest rise and fall. And remember, you have always been here. If this resonates, type one word in the comments, present. Not as a trend, but as a reminder to yourself that you've finally come home. Vibrational detachment. Presence is powerful, but it doesn't appear overnight. It's born from discipline. The quiet practice of observing instead of reacting, of staying centered instead of seeking validation. This is where Jung's concept of vibrational detachment comes in. Detachment isn't coldness or indifference. It's the deep commitment to never betray yourself for the sake of keeping a connection. It's realizing that your peace matters more than your control. Vibrational detachment begins when you start noticing the small moments of chasing energy. When you check your phone every few minutes, when you can't stand silence, when you need to know what someone thinks just to feel safe. That's not your true nature. That's your unhealed frequency of lack trying to hijack you. Jung warned in the Psychology of the Transference, an activated complex puts us momentarily under the control of an autonomous personality, meaning when your wounds are triggered, they take over. You think you're acting rationally, but it's the old pain speaking through you. When you constantly need reassurance, when you can't relax without confirmation, your vibration says, "I'm not safe." And people feel that. Even if you never say a word, your energy tells the story, the practice of detachment. So how do you step out of that cycle? Not by doing more, but by doing nothing for a few moments longer. When the urge rises to text, to ask, to fix, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, am I acting from presence or from fear? This is the heart of vibrational detachment. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about choosing alignment over reaction. Jung wrote in the Red Book, "In each of us there is someone we do not know. He speaks to us in dreams and tells us how differently he sees us from the way we see ourselves." When you stop reacting, you finally hear that deeper voice, the one that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't panic, the one that already knows who you are. Start small. Create a few minutes of silence every day. No phone, no music, no one else. Just you and your breath. In that silence, say quietly, "I do not chase, I do not cling, I am present." You don't need to believe it right away, you just need to repeat it until your body starts to remember. Returning to wholeness. And if your mind still asks, "But how do I make them love me?" then ask yourself a deeper question. Which part of me still doesn't believe I'm already worthy? Jung said it best. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Vibrational detachment isn't about doing better. It's about living more consciously. It's about noticing when fear speaks and choosing not to let it lead. When you stop chasing, stop demanding, stop proving, something incredible happens. You become what you once sought. You no longer radiate fear or lack. You no longer need to manipulate or beg for love. You don't attract through words or tactics, but through truth. Because when you are fully present, when you're no longer split inside, you begin to shine. You don't chase, you don't need to attract, you simply resonate. True radiance isn't effort, it's clarity. When you stop running toward what you want, you naturally draw in what's aligned with you. You become a still point in a noisy world, a silent field of gravity that needs no force. And from that stillness, everything falls away. Everything true begins to arrive, the final return. You don't need to become anyone else, you only need to return to the center of who you already are. Let your stillness speak for you. Let your energy precede your words. Let your wholeness be the quiet call the world cannot ignore. Because when you have chosen yourself fully, honestly, unconditionally, you no longer need to be chosen by anyone else. And that, right there, is the vibration that can't be resisted. If these words resonate with you, if you feel that deep pull toward authenticity, peace, and self-trust, then keep walking this path, because everything you've ever chased is already waiting inside you. No more running, no more proving, just presence. You are already enough, and now finally you can feel it.